Welcome to Get to Know Your County Commissioner. I'm Jeanette Perez. Faulty underwater pool lights can potentially cause serious injuries, especially in older residential pools with high voltage light bulbs. Joining me today to talk about pool safety is Miami-Dade District 3 Commissioner Audrey Edmonson and her guest, Michael Goolsby of Miami-Dade County's Regulatory and Economic Resources Department, and pool safety advocate Chris Sloan, whose 7-year-old son Calder was electrocuted in the family pool. Thank you all for being here and shedding light on this very important subject. Let's start off with you, Commissioner. What prompted you to tackle this issue of pool safety?
Well, Jeanette, it became very important to me once I heard about what happened with Chris, and then 3 other children almost electrocuted within their family pools. I wanted to raise awareness to the public that high voltage lights within the pool area should not occur, and educate the public on what should be done. It prompted me to bring about legislation. And when I brought about the legislation, it was simple legislation, but it was something that was needed, and that was putting low voltage lighting within the pool area.
And that's because there was a discrepancy, 2 different standards, if you will, between commercial pools and residential pools.
Yes, as a matter of fact, the state governed the commercial pools. They were not allowed to put high voltage lights in commercial pools, and that's the parks as well as any other public pool. But in residential pools, there was no legislation whatsoever.
So what does the legislation do, and how does it affect the residents?
It's simple. The legislation just requires that any future pools that are built should have low voltage lighting in them. And when you change your lighting in your pools, then you have to change it to low voltage.
And let's turn now to Mr. Goolsby. What is the building department doing to help educate residents, and as far as helping them out with permits if they want to change their pool lights?
Yes, Jeanette. What we are doing right now is we've launched a education effort to the public, making them aware of a reduced permit fee for changing out their underwater lights. So this would be an incentive to reach the public with this information. We do so on our website. We do this through the publication of a pamphlet that contains information about pool safety and the benefits of changing out their pool lights. And in addition to this, the county as a whole has launched a effort to reach the public through their county magazines, 305 Fit and 305 Biz. There's a real nice article on 305 Fit about electrical pool safety right now. Obviously, we have the local news media also shared in this effort to keep the public informed. And so I think we see a sort of a multi-agency, broad approach to getting the information to the public.
And the public can find this pamphlet on pool safety at miamidade.gov/building.
That is correct.
Okay.
The idea is to bring a campaign to the public, to bring awareness, to help promote the idea of safety in the pools.
And Mr. Sloan, pushing for better pool safety laws has been something you've been going towards since your son passed away. Tell us about those efforts in Tallahassee. You've done this at the state level, and what does this mean to you and your family?
Well, you know, Calder died in a couple of weeks. It's going to be a year, and it was a horrific way for him to leave us. And you know, had he lived to be, you know, he was a very special, empathetic boy, and he was going to make an amazing, incredible impact on just people around him. He was a very sweet, empathetic, loving child, and because he doesn't have the opportunity to go forward, and we've seen what devastation, I just want to say, you know, when people say, they say, well, I have no words, what is it like to lose a child? And it's like, it's not only your child who dies, it's your large, significant part of your family, yourself. And we felt that it was very important to never have any other families or any other people go through this kind of devastation. So there's been heroic, amazing efforts on the part of Miami-Dade County, Broward, Palm Beach, but it all started here with Commissioner Edmonson and the media. And what's amazing about it is that it's given us lift because you don't normally think of government moving so quickly and so proactively. They originated this and took action, and it's moved so quickly. And in a way, we got spoiled because we're like, it's first high voltage lighting, then it's like literally incentivizing people to change their lighting by reducing the permits, then it's raising the awareness, then it's also this notion of really pushing for people to look at inspections because it's a much bigger deal than just high voltage lighting. It's grounding, it's bonding, it's your pool pump, it's your pool deck. There's so many factors that can cause this kind of tragedy. So by going to the state, a bill, we were contacted by Representative Stark and Senator Sobel to create a bill, the Calder Sloan Pool Safety Act, which really focused on inspections and lighting. And at this point, we were up in Tallahassee on Monday. At this point now, this is a process. It's a long-term journey. The bill is at this point, has shifted to be an amendment to create a task force to create a true modern, up-to-date pool safety code that really pushes for inspections, but most of all, it creates this platform of awareness so people realize that there could be a hidden danger. And in many cases, we've received notes from around America, because this became a national story, that there is. So we're hoping that this task force actually is created and that creates real recommendations and a real consensus that people can get behind next year, and passes legislation as the building code. And I would say the number one goal of it, personally, if I had our dream, I sat with Mayor Jimenez, who is very empathetic and is very involved in this, and and he really bought in the idea of going out and talking to the insurance companies, much like happened after Hurricane Andrew. And once this code is established, that if people bring their homes up to the correct pool code, that somehow the insurance companies can offer them a homeowner's discount, much like when you install hurricane shutters. So there needs to be an incentive for people to make these changes. I don't think there should be incentive, but you know what, we've learned the hard way, and so that's what our hope is.
And you had just been up in Tallahassee recently and discovered that the bill you were fighting for has been stalled until next session, as you mentioned. Are you hoping that something will move forward quickly?
It's interesting. I never thought, so we became so spoiled that people like Commissioner Edmonson and Mr. Goolsby were so involved that we just figured this was a no-brainer. And we've also been to other counties, and we've seen that not everybody is as progressive as Miami-Dade on this issue. So we didn't expect it was going to necessarily pass and be easy. However, people, using this term stalled, is that I'm going to be a glass is half full guy and say, look, as of last week, this bill was dead and wasn't going anywhere. So if we can actually keep it alive and resuscitated, which seems to be happening, there's a lot of positive energy and a lot of support for that, and create something people can agree on, then we live to fight another day. And I ultimately believe that this will become law, and this will become, just by the nature of what's going on, bigger than the law is that people being aware and doing something about it themselves, and that's getting those inspections. So yeah, is it disappointing? Sure, but it was a lot worse a week ago when it looked like it wasn't going anywhere, and a lot of people in powerful positions and legislators have really stepped up, and I think this is gonna happen.
And I know, Commissioner Edmonson, you are also supporting these efforts at the state level. Tell us about that.
Well, we sent urgings to the state, and it was unanimous amongst the commission as I brought the urgings to the state, and it got picked up by some of our legislators. So that was good. The permitting, we did legislation as well for that, for the county to reduce the fees for permitting when they put in, people change to the low voltage, as well as I sponsored the legislation to go on to the state and reference urgent insurance companies to give discounts to the people who actively try to enact pool safety in their own residential pools. So a lot of things are being picked up.
And Commissioner, before we let you go, what's your message to Miami-Dade County residents on making their pools safe?
My message is, even though you do not need to change your lighting, if you have high voltage in your pool, take it upon yourself and change it. It's better to be safe than sorry.
And they can definitely reach out to the building department.
Yes, they can.
For information on how to go
about doing that. And I think the number is, again, let's tell them the number.
786-315-2000.
Thank you all so much for being here and taking time out of your busy days.
And thank you for having us.
Thank you. And our hearts go out to you, Mr. Sloan, and we appreciate everything that you're doing to make our pools safer.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Get to Know Your County Commissioner. For more information about pool safety and pool lighting permits, please call the county's Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources at 786-315-2000 or visit miamidade.gov/building. I'm Jeanette Perez. Thanks for watching.